Noob D&D Dad here, and we're going to talk about the Army Veterans group that I'm DMing for. We've been talking about my son's group that I'm DMing for, because I'm DMing for two groups. And they are in the Woodland Mans in the Dragon of Icespire Peak campaign, which, spoiler alert for the Army group, I think I'm going to have to start calling it the Dragons of Icespire Peak. So this is going to be session 13 and 14 of the Army Veteran group, because last time I talked about them, I did session 12, and they had just arrived at the Woodland Mans. And I said this last time, but the Woodland Mans is a cool place. There's so many places for them to explore and places for modification, and the creatures that they fight, I had lots of fun running them. Okay, and quick note from my last session, I did ask a lot of questions about magic type stuff, and a ton of people responded with extremely helpful answers, ranging from consumable items for magic items to spell slots and magic focuses. And so that was very, very helpful. So I always appreciate your feedback, and I definitely use your suggestions in my campaigns. So I love that with these videos where I've been telling my story of being a DM, that people have been sharing their stories, and so it's almost like becoming your campaign as well, your two campaigns, because I'm putting your ideas into my campaign. So I thank you for that. But every session I realize that I am still a noob D&D DM here, noob D&D dad, even though I've DM'd 26 sessions with my son and 29 sessions with the veterans group. So I'm definitely getting the reps in, but each time, like literally every time I play, and I say I play because I feel like DMing is playing too. That's just the part I'm playing. But I feel like every time I play, I am like, oh, I don't know how this works. I gotta like figure it out. So all throughout their time at the Woodland Mans, they're eating these pumpkin seeds, and I'm just waiting for them to eat. I think if they eat 5 in an hour, that they get poisoned. If they fail a Constitution saving throw, they get poisoned for like 1d4 hours. And no one has done that yet, but I'm just like eagerly waiting. I think maybe next time somebody eats a pumpkin seed, I'm just gonna make them roll a Constitution check. I think I'm deciding that right now. That's happening. 1, because it sounds fun. 2, these guys are getting really, really powerful, so they could be sick for a few hours. So from the last session, I mentioned that the bard used his stupid hypnotize spell. I can't remember what it's called, but hypnotic pattern, where he basically like neutralizes all the bad guys. Well, not all of them that fail the saving throw. So after the party fights and kills all of the things that are presenting a challenge, they go through and just like execute the other ones. And I was really surprised that they did that, because you would think they would want to keep one alive to like interrogate to find out what's inside this building, right? So they kill everyone. They're like, all right, let's go in the building. It's like, maybe you could have got some info about what's in there, but I don't know. Let's go. Here we go. All right. If there's something that remains true in every session, it's that as a DM, I am trying to get their actions to cause fires that get out of control, in buildings or in nature. I'm just really trying. That's me. I started that. I was a wildland firefighter for a long time. So, yeah, I'm just really trying to get fires to start in these campaigns. And when they were fighting these guys outside of the Woodland Mans, there's some dry cheat grass leading up to the edge of the forest. And so they started a fire, and my fellow friends, army folks there, they know me, they know that I was a firefighter, and they know kind of about wildland firefighting. And so my friend is like, let's use mage hands to put out the fire, to dig a fire line around it. And I was just like, he's like, would that work? And I was like, yeah, it would work. So him and the other caster both made mage hands and dug a fire line around the fire. And I was just like, that is so awesome. Like, I was so like happy. I love fire and firefighting, and it's fun to see me push the situation. Well, they started the fire. But I'm the one that made it grow. I have a system to roll to say where the wind is coming from that dictates which way it's pushing the fire. I almost have like whole fire mechanics and stuff built into my game right from the start, before I even started with my son's campaign. because it's so important to me for fires to get started all the time, every session if possible. Anyway, I was so happy and touched that they used their mage hands to dig a fire line that I granted them inspiration for that because it was cool. And I wanted to feel like I was like showing that I appreciated, thought it was awesome. Also, yeah, printer in the background, very classy. Here we go. Here's a classy background right there. Okay, so this Woodland Manse was just full of combat. There's combat in almost every room, and there's, what do they fight? There's a bunch of like twig blights up on a mantelpiece, and the paladin, I guess, recognizes it, and he just goes and grabs them all really quick. And I'm sure I invented some roll that he had to do to like get the drop on them and just grab them, and he tosses them in the fireplace. And I think the sorcerer did like a bonfire or something, so they just like nuked all these twig blights in one go. And as far as fighting goes, there's a really cool place, this courtyard here, where where it goes up, and then like this is looking down into the courtyard. So there's quite a bit of like interesting combat things can happen with these various windows. So they're fighting twigs, they're fighting vine blights, and a caster called Granok, and some more orcs. And the fight's just getting bigger. They're coming in from every direction. The party's a little bit split up, like in that they're in different parts, edges of the room, and someone casts a web, someone's doing this and that, and Granok ends up doing the thunder wave, which I think kills a bunch of the twig blights, but then sends the sorcerer, he's a gnome? No, he's a goblin. Sends the sorcerer goblin like flying up through the second story window, and he like hits the ceiling. And it's just, there's so many fun things that happened with the craziness of all these different people in different parts of the room. And I think, I can't remember if it was a wild magic or something, but the sorcerer ended up making the bard fly. And I decided that for him to fly, it's not like Superman where he's like flying with his arms out. I decided that it's almost like he's like a doll, and you're like grabbing him by the back of the neck, and he's just like, so it looks like this. He's like flying and his like feet are like swinging around. Make it so. Anyway, so it's just like this, there's like this battle going on, and the bard's like flying around, and his feet are like just like dangling and like bumping into people. So it's just it's so fun to just make this chaotic, like comical battle. The sorcerer made a point of mentioning that he's going to shoot Granok, the caster, right in the weenus. So he had some burned elbows. And the big tree that's in the center of the room, I decided that I would hide a pearl of power inside of it. So sometimes I let them roll a D100 on the treasure hoard table to see if they can find cool stuff. Other times, the book just tells you exactly what treasure they find where. For example, they are going to find the very annoying immovable rod in one of these places. Yeah, immovable rod. Spoiler alert, that stupid magic item is going to come up big time very soon to epic and dramatic effect, so stay tuned for that. But another way that I do the magic items is I will take something that maybe I can tell that they want or that their character could use, and I will just plant it somewhere on the map and see if they find it. I've actually previously planted a Pearl of Power along with a full plate suit and some super cool sword in a river under the water, but off of like a walkway, right? At the loggers camp, there's a like a dock, and right off that dock, under the water is a super cool set of armor, sword, and a Pearl of Power. So that's still there, and I decided it's there in both campaigns. So if someone goes there and does detect magic, like they will find it. So that's just there in my world, both campaigns. But in this one, I decided they missed that. They went to the loggers camp, totally missed it. And I was like, I really want to give my sorcerer a Pearl of Power. So I stuck one in the tree. They eventually found it. He was very happy. So there's still one out there. One bad guy I've been really enjoying, I guess, navigating is this gross creature here. The sturge. Look at that thing. It's disgusting. But I decided that they are like a sweaty bat mosquito thing, and that they're always like breathing hard and they're always like really sweaty. So whenever they like attach to you, they're like cold and clammy and they're just like breathing hard while they're just like sucking your blood out. So the way I describe it, I swear it just like creeps people out. They're just like, oh, that's so gross. And so as often as I can, I like to have sturges attached to people. I think one time, I can't remember who it was, but there was a sturge attached under each armpit. And it's like so disgusting. And the sorcerer also got one stuck on his face at one point. That might be coming up in the future. Anyway, they're so gross, but I love running them. And there's a lot of sturges popping out of chimneys and stuff in the Woodland Mans. So perfect time to get to use such a wonderful, happy little creature. Oh, and if they have been attached to somebody, when their buddy finally comes over and kills it, it splashes with its own blood and their blood because it's drained their blood. So it's like a mosquito when you swat it on your arm and there's like a little of your blood on your arm. Imagine that times like a gallon. So it's usually really gross when they kill one, which I'm very proud of. All right, so these guys are rushing through the Woodland Mans. They're doing detect magic and just like finding the magic items. And it's like, hey, good for you. But I can't remember what they did. But like I said, I love to start fire. So they actually started a fire in the building, like a legit fire. I can't remember if it was a bonfire or fire. Anyway, they did something. It legit caused a fire. And so it's spreading. And so they think they've killed most of the bad guys. And they're like, dang it, this is a big, interesting building. So they start like basically trying to run around and explore this place and find what treasure there is to find it. And they honestly were doing pretty good. But I mean, the thing was getting consumed and everybody leaves. And then the sorcerer is like, no, like there's this one room we haven't been in. So he goes in there and I'm just like, I'm totally just going to reward this guy. So he finds a chest and I have him roll a D100 and he ended up getting a whole bunch of like gems, right? I can't remember, like 50 gold gems or whatever. Sardonyx, Bloodstone, Carnelian, Moonstone, whatever those are, he got a bunch of them. So I'm like, I'm going to reward you for being the person to run back in there and be like, we have to get this last room. So he got a reward for that. Anyway, so I think they got attacked by a few more sturges that flew out of the burning building. There's a burning orc that comes running out of it. And again, me controlling the burning orc, I'm just like rubbing my hands together like, this is going to start a fire. But they end up having a long rest while they just watch the building burn down all night. And they ate some more pumpkin seeds, but not quite enough to cause them a tummy ache. But as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm determined. Next time anyone eats one pumpkin seed, they're rolling Constitution check, and it's going to be hard, and they're going to go down. So I think one thing, like if I'm the DM and you're my player, and tell me what you think if this has been your, because I'm new, remember. I'm going to recommend doing the detect magic spell everywhere you go, because I think you're going to find cool stuff or find things that could hurt you. Anyway, I had tons. We stopped right in the middle of combat. So this has been sessions 13 and 14 of the Army Veterans group that I'm DMing for. In the Dragons of Icespire Peak campaign. More on that in the future, but it was fun. Woodland Mans is a good time. So thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. And I love doing these updates, and I love all the interaction that I get. Quick note on the new announcement of the new Player's Handbook, new DMG, Dungeon Master's Guide, new Monster Manual. I wasn't really excited for them because, well, one, because I'm having such a good time with the existing books. Like, great time. And there's a lot of free content, like extra stuff online as well. But after watching their video, the Wizards of the Coast video, explaining it, the really long one that came out just the other day, I was like super interested. I'm like, there's tons more monsters. It's a lot simpler. I was just like, this would be great for both my groups I'm DMing for. So, yeah, if you want to sponsor me pre-ordering those books, contact me. But no, I'm just kidding. But seriously, I'm actually excited for them. So I think what that means though is I don't want to buy them if I haven't like used these other ones and like read them all. I know you don't necessarily need to read them all cover to cover, but I think since I'm DMing for two groups, it would probably behoove me to read these books cover to cover. So anyway, I'm loving the current editions. And after that video, I was just like, I'm so excited for the new editions. So let me know what you think of if you're excited for the new editions. I am now. But yeah, this has been Noob D&D Dad sessions 13 and 14 for the Army Vet group. So thanks for watching. Make sure and tell your mom and your friends so people subscribe to this thing like it's a pyramid scheme. Anyway, see you on the next one. Bye.